Hey, because they got the block on lock, the trunk stay locked, Glock on cock, the block stay hot. Okay? You know why? Because you're in danger. People, if you are not aware of what is going on, well, Miss Sophia the Diva here is here to do another Diva Disturbed video special edition regarding racism, and American law. And basically, what we're going to be talking about tonight is, of course, the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina, where essentially a white 21-year-old male by the name of Dylan Storm Wolf decided to take his little happy behind, sit in the church during Bible study on a Wednesday night, and decide to open fire on parishioners that were in attendance. An assassination, a terroristic attack. I am sick and tired of hearing these stories about black people always being attacked. Or in general, I'm just tired of hearing about people being attacked and and killed because you don't like them because of their race, the color of their skin, the religion that they practice. And I also always hate the ignorant people that come out of the woodworks that have something to say. The politicians are just as ignorant as your backwoods swamp people. And it's sad and it's devastating that people can be so insensitive during times like these. And then try to make it seem like it's no big deal. Like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened right here in America. Happens all the time. We go around the world and to save other people and bring about democracy and protect them and supposedly to protect Americans, but we have our own domestic situations going on. We have domestic terrorists all the time. And it's like, who's paying attention? As if the Oklahoma City bombing didn't give you pause. As if organized religions like David Koresh didn't give you pause. If the ongoing rise of the Aryan Nation didn't give you pause. If the rise of the Tea Party does not give anyone pause in America. Because we all know that the Tea Party is just the KKK that decide to take off their mama and damn bedclothes and decide to run for political office. I'm sorry, that's just how I see it. And it's interesting to me how we as human beings seem to think that it's no big deal. You should be concerned because I don't know. I'm totally going off on a tangent. I had outlined what I wanted to say, but it's just so disturbing and so shocking the things that go on. But at the same time, none of us should be surprised that it goes on or it's allowed to go on or that people will speak differently about it. Dylan has not even been referred to. He's a thug. That's some thug type stuff he did. And that's some bold stuff. You go into a historically black church on the eve or the day of the 193rd slave revolt that was supposed to take place, but unfortunately the church was burned down and closed on June 17th, 1822. The local government there in South Carolina found out about it and shut it down and hung some people the next month in July for wanting to revolt, and ultimately closed all black churches by 1834. Ultimately, because they disbanded the church because they had a problem with blacks organizing in religions, because we all know that even in the heart of the civil rights movement, flash forward almost 100 years after that, you have, over 100 years, because, over 100 years, you have the civil rights movement. A lot of the organizations happened inside the churches. And let us not forget that immediately when I heard about this church shooting in South Carolina and the 9 that lost their lives, I immediately said, are we in 2015 or 1960s? Because the first parallel that came to me, or first thought that came to me, was the little black girls that died in the church bombing in Alabama during Sunday school. Um, so it's just disheartening in how insensitive people can be. Thankfully he was picked up right away. What I find interesting is that he was brought in alive. But then again, we don't. But some people who weren't really even engaged in criminal acts, or even if they were taken into custody, some kind of way mysteriously came up dead, people of a darker skin tone. Meanwhile, this 21-year-old Dylan Storm, and that's Dylan with two N's, so y'all leave the other Dylan Roof alone that lives there in South Carolina. He only has one N. He wanted us all to know that on Facebook. But it's just so disturbing. And racism and this hate that people have for people because of their skin tone, I mean, it's dumb. And to me, something must be really wrong with your medulla oblongata for you to actually think that a person's race is a problem. Like, all of us do some of the same things. We talked about this last night in my last Diva Disturbed video. We're all humans at the end of the day. Okay? Some of us just have more pigmentation than others. And racism is stupid. It's a disease. You got to be sick in the head to think the way that you think and to not like black people. And they said that when he jumped up, the killer, the terrorist, Dylan Storm, he had some choice words for the people. He said, I have to do this. You rape our women and you're taking over our country. And he shot and killed, assassinated 9 people. First of all, were the women also raping y'all's women? And who are the you? Who are the you? Our country. When did this begin? If anyone should be angry at anybody about being in this country, it should probably be the Native Americans. It was their land before people plundered, raped, and everything else to get this land. That's what your people did. Since everyone always wants to categorize and say your people, our people, take ownership. Black people, of African people that are here, that are of a color, our ancestors didn't ask to be here. You put them on a boat, you brought them across oceans, dumped the ones that didn't make the journey into shark-infested waters, and they became slaves. You made them slaves. And then as they became a little wiser and realized something's wrong. And when people of European descent realize this ain't right, you end up with a civil war. And I don't know where South Carolina is. I was stationed in South Carolina back in 2000 at Fort Jackson. And I remember even back then there was a controversy going on in South Carolina about this daggone Confederate flag. I don't understand how it is that you can hold on to the North won. How many times do we have to tell you people? The North won. Black people in South Carolina and in areas where they continue. Who puts up a flag at the state capitol it makes no damnable sense. It's not rational. It's not right. And then you have someone from the NRA board, what was his name? Charles Cotton, blaming the pastor and the state senator that was assassinated, Clemente Pinckney. Well, he didn't vote for this measure where everybody could have had carry and conceal, and, he might have been able to save some people in the church. Really? So you saying people gonna come to church strapped, basically? If someone, at least one parishioner, had been packing, maybe not all 9 people would be dead, and it's all Clementa's fault. So that's another thing. You need to stop trying to deflect from the issue at hand. The issue at hand is that we have a young white male who is part of something larger than what we even know about. He's probably not going to tell us who he's working for, but he showed up and is photographed in Facebook in anti-apartheid gear from South Africa. Not to mention wearing a flag of, I think, Rhodesia, which is now Zimbabwe. I mean, it's, but who's paying attention, right? And then you have Rick Santorum, who is, by the way, he's running for president. If y'all are voting for him, I question your mental competency. He seems really actually shocked and surprised that people would get gunned down in the church. Now, I will take one point he did say. He said it is an attack on religion. If we didn't know what the young man had said, that might be a valid point. But no, he said he was just there to kill some black folk. The perfect place to catch black folk, the majority of us, especially on a Wednesday night or a Sunday morning, is where? Church. And he sat there for an hour. I want to know what the Bible study lesson was. Did none of that sink into his heart to make him say, I don't want to kill these people. This is wrong. Do you think we serve different gods? The same God that made you and me, made you, young man. But, it just makes no sense. And these politicians that just say whatever they're thinking. And from the Republican perspective, some of the Democrats have even disappointed me too. But it's really always that right wing that values and goodness and wholesomeness. Y'all better wake up, people. Again, GOP does not spell God. And then what else happened? So you got an NRA board member saying it's Pickney's fault. You got Rick Santorum saying it's an attack on religion. I don't know if he had all the facts in place or had heard the story, so I'm going to give him slightly the benefit of the doubt. But he feels like he chose them indiscriminately. No, he purposely went into the church and sat down and killed black people because they were black, not because they were, I don't know. And then, what disappoints me, and I consider the roommate complicit. A lot of these people are complicit. Boyfriend told you, hey, he was a segregationist. He don't like black people. His grandfather bought him a 45 for his birthday and initially would not even let him take it home. I wonder why. But last week, Grandpa decided to relinquish the control of that weapon. And but for that, maybe those people would still be alive. Maybe he wouldn't have shot and killed all those people. I don't know. Maybe Grandpa's part of it. But the roommate should have said something. You knew he was going to go out and kill some people. You should have just said it. Hell, obviously, maybe there was something going on in that mental temple. Because get ready, people. If this goes to trial, if he doesn't take a plea deal, I'm willing to bet he's suffering from a defective mental disorder. If his mind is defective. He could not help or understand the things that he was doing. It was a compulsive act. Schizophrenia, maybe. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait and see, because I guarantee you that is probably what's going to come up. Look at the Colorado shooter. He looked crazy as hell. He looked like damn Mad Hatter. Okay, he looked crazy as hell. I believe he might be crazy. Plus, he was under some sort of treatment. I'd be curious to know what's in the medical records, but it is the South. We're lucky if he even probably, thought to go to a psychiatrist, I just, it's the senseless murder of these people, the assassination. It just didn't have to happen, but it's not a coincidence. I really do believe that this was orchestrated, planned out, and Dylan didn't do it by himself. I really don't believe that. I don't think he acted alone. One of my friends on Facebook pointed that out. Um, Rudy Giuliani doesn't want us to jump to any conclusions. We don't know why he chose to shoot the church. Yes, we know why. It's a historically black church. 193rd anniversary of a slave revolt. The black people almost got away. Uh, and then my heart is heavy. I'm frustrated, and I expressed it earlier. I just don't understand racism. I don't understand how you cannot like somebody because of the color of their skin. I remember there used to be this juice I would drink as a kid, and it was said, if you can't judge a fruit by the color of its skin, why do you judge a person? And that's true if you think about it. We're all human beings, we're here on this earth, and hate, as Martin Luther King said, has yet to solve anything. We know it's caused a lot of trouble, but it hasn't solved anything. Hate only leads to bloodshed and heartache. Love is truly the answer. The Bible speaks on it. There are songs about love. Love covers over a multitude of sins. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get racism. My heart really goes out to all 9 of those people that lost their lives because it didn't have to happen. But Dylan Storm Roof, I believe is his name. He did what he had to do, and quite frankly, he did not try to hide. He didn't try to run. He, just was like, I did what I had to do, dude. So, I mean, I know a lot of us are upset. Like, had this been a black person that ran up in the church, predominantly white church, and shot it up, he probably wouldn't have even been, you know, brought in alive. But I think this is great that Dylan was brought in alive. He needs to answer for that he did. Ain't no sense going in God's house being disrespectful and shooting up the place and killing some people because allegedly you don't like them or someone has brainwashed you into believing that black people are the most horrible people on earth. And that's a lie. It's just really sad. And then some idiot on Facebook started Justice for Dylan page talking about, I'm not saying that, let's just not, get him, let's not, have judge and jury in the court, in the court of public opinion. But it's insensitive. Now was not the time. It's my understanding that this page was taken down. I personally, posted in my social media and told people to hit up Facebook to make it to get taken down. I think a lot of people probably flooded Facebook, and Facebook was probably like, you got to go. Either take it down or we'll take it down for you. It's ignorant, and it sparked outrage. Were you trolling? And that's another thing. Then let me get, I cannot stand social media trolls, especially when they come on my page and try to stir the pot. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like today, for instance, I had posted a video, tagged a friend in it. One of his, now I don't restrict friends of friends, which maybe I'm starting to think maybe I should do that because something else happened earlier this week. But just ignorant, said something very inappropriate. You don't know me. And you posted that. You don't know who's on my page, who I would want to see that, and then had the audacity to say, excuse me, it wasn't all that bad. We're all mature adults here. No, we're all adults here. And I'm like, yes, we are all adults. But being a mature adult, we're all mature adults on here. We would know that we should respect others' space. You came on my wall. You don't know me from a grain of salt. Okay. And just stirring up mess. So I'm just like, I don't know if you do it because you're bored and single and lonely and ugly. I don't know. I don't know, but the ugliness of all of this, it's gonna get worse before it gets better. We've kind of gone back. We've had a certain comfort level for a while, and now we are starting to be made to be uncomfortable, and many of us need to stand up and use our platforms to say something and do something. And then another thing that disturbs me is this ignorant ass woman that was on CNN this morning while Don Lemon was interviewing somebody about the issue. She was standing, Uncle Tom, Uncle Tom. I'm like, we all know Don Lemon is considered an Uncle Tom. He's even said that people call him Uncle Tom, and he knows it. Hell, he owns it in a way. But why are you doing it? And then talking about Obama is too. He a puppet. He a Uncle Tom. Why are you jumping on POTUS? Why are you distracting from what's going on? Some of y'all just need to stay in the house and take your medication because it's just, the craziness has got to stop. Um, I was going to talk about some other things and combine this with some other things that have been disturbing me. Um, but just a few other talking points. People, racism is alive and well, especially in the Deep South. Because in Anniston, Alabama, where I did my MP school many, many years ago, I remember when when they gave us our days off to go and have our free day after boot camp or doing MP school. They told us there are just certain places in Anniston you simply do not go. There was a list. And this was in the 90s. And now here it is, 2015. And same stuff is going on. The Anston Police Department had to let go of two of their people that were found to be connected to a racist organization. I think Aryan Nation or white supremacy group or something. Not surprising. I mean, it's Anniston, Alabama. So, at that time, I was the base that was there, Fort McClellan. I think it still exists, but I think it went from being an army base to an Air Force base. But we shouldn't be surprised. And then another thing that we need to be on watch for that I didn't get to talk to about, but our education system is just going to be flushed down the toilet pretty soon. Um, if you are not aware, Los Angeles Unified School District decided that D's are the new C's. So if you have children that are in the Los Angeles School District and you care about the education of your child, I would suggest that you go down there to the school board and raise a ruckus. Because they're basically just there's public education shot to hell basically. And it's all part of one big system to design a subclass of people to continue to get cheap labor for the state and these corporations. You know, if you're not so bright and you can't keep a job, you'll probably end up in a life of crime. And you'll probably end up in a rotating system called the prison system. And a lot of prisons are owned by private companies. Not to say that anyone that isn't educated can't go to prison, because Lord knows plenty of them are in Club Fed especially. And I remember when I was at the public defender's office, there was a guy that was there that was educated, once had a very lucrative professional career, like suit and tie, in the financial industry, and he became a crack dealer. Y'all need to stay woke, basically, is what I'm saying, because it's a vicious system. They don't care about your kids. Those of you that care about your children and how they're educated, I would suggest that you start supplementing their education, because I know for me growing up, it was not easy. If I brought home a B, I was in the house doing extra homework to make sure that I didn't get a B again. Because number one, I was raised by a preacher and a teacher, so I kind of didn't have a choice. By the time I got to junior high and high school, it was different because we learned later on that my weakness in school was math. I wasn't a math student, so bringing home a B or a C in those particular subjects were not okay, but it had to be accepted because my mom and dad couldn't teach me algebra and calculus and geometry. Um, we need to do better for our kids. And if you see that some child is falling by the wayside and the parents are ignorant and don't give a damn, why don't you just try to step in and help that child? We all have a responsibility. I don't have any children. I have a dog. She's somewhere around here. But I care about kids, and I think that education is the key to all of us being successful in life. So, uh, and I heard a great educator say, his name escapes me, but he was in an event. He said, when children can't learn, that's by design. That's so they can create that subclass. We need people to take low paying jobs to serve us. Some people do it because they enjoy it, but some people do it because they don't have a choice, because they're undereducated. And I strongly, strongly, strongly suggest that y'all start waking up. And do you really want somebody that graduated from school that got D's all throughout biology in these science classes, and now they doctor somebody? Do you really want somebody like that? Because that means you probably didn't read a textbook. You didn't do your homework. But that's just one of the things that I wanted to talk about. Let's continue to pray for those in Charleston, South Carolina. Let's pray that the investigation and prosecution of this young man goes clean and smoothly, and that we find out who else he's connected to. Because I really do believe this is bigger than what we know. He's like the tip of the iceberg. It's deeper than what we think. So all I can say is stay woke, and the revolution will not be televised. We know that from Baltimore, when the thugs, as they were called, even though these were people just uprising and trying to let their government know we're not happy with the way that we've been treated, and how you have people that are being arrested and their spines are being severed and they're dying. So prayers. I wanted to close out with, I wanted to remind us that, those of us who are Christian and, are believers and followers in Christ, we have to remember that this is bigger than what we think it is. There's a scripture that comes to mind. The armor of God, and I wanted to just read that and share that, because it greatly disturbs me, everything that's going on. That we as Christians must remember there is something more than flesh and blood going on here, and because of that, we must put on the full armor of God. Ephesians 6:10-13. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you've done everything, to stand. Well, that's all I have. This is Miss Sophia the Diva, a special edition on racism in the South Carolina assassinations. Good night. Stay woke.